slightly more to the west. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, overnight it shifted the most to the west.
Right.
I actually was making some phone calls, as you know, late last night saying, hey guys, Tampa, Fort Myers, and we did a special Facebook Live last night for this dramatic shift because people needed to get out early this morning. But I guess it has not shifted much more since daybreak this morning.
Right. And again, while the track and the forecast models may be pushing it slightly west, due to the sheer size of this hurricane, it's going to envelop the entire peninsula of Florida in some form or fashion. We were looking at the tropical storm force wind field, and it's much, much broader than the peninsula of Florida. So even if the core of the storm or the eye of the storm is right along the west coast, the Gulf Coast, or even out over the Gulf Coast and the Gulf waters, we're going to get potentially tropical storm force winds covering the entire peninsula of the state of Florida. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see. A Pensacola landfall, I don't think we're looking at that with this particular storm. It's much more to the east from there. David Altman, is the hurricane moving slower than was forecast?
It has moved. That's important. Thanks for mentioning that, David. It's important to point out that is not as significant for our listeners and viewers in Southwest Florida. They don't need to take that as a sign they have any more time to prepare. But unfortunately, it kind of prolongs, Randy, the duration of this significant event and this very painful event for Southwest Florida. And another thing, it's a little bit of good news for North Florida. It gives you a little more time to prepare. Most of tomorrow should be okay. Say north, well, the early part of tomorrow along I-4, but most of tomorrow should be okay in cities like Gainesville and Jacksonville and Tallahassee. I think tropical storm force conditions probably won't start in those areas until tomorrow night.
But a question about the Nature Coast and Cedar Key. Right now, it does look like there will be impact there.
Yeah, the concern is really growing for the Nature Coast areas for the storm surge. There's storm surge warnings in effect for the Cedar Key area. So that concern is growing. This is going to affect a wide swath of Florida. The way this is going to be paralleling, see it behind me there. The way this is going to be paralleling the coastline, and you can see that even at Tampa, it's supposed to be a major hurricane, still a Category 2 near Cedar Key. That's going to be its closest point to the Ocala, Gainesville areas, and still a Category 1 at its closest point to Lake City and Tallahassee. And theoretically, a hurricane until maybe it crosses the Florida-Georgia line. So this is a hurricane for the duration of the time that it visits Florida.
So here are some of the quick stats before we leave you in terms of our live radio broadcast on Florida's public radio stations. Total power outages right now at about 76,000 statewide. That number is going to increase dramatically. Miami-Dade itself at least 28,000 in terms of outages. We have 70,000 people in shelters at this hour, and shelter room does remain. The Florida Storms app can help you find the closest shelter to your location. I'm Randy Wright with meteorologist Jeff Huffman in the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network Storm Center. We're going to send it back to the public radio stations right now, and our Facebook Live viewers, stay with us because we will continue in just a moment.
Why it's not refreshing?
We're back now live on Facebook. I'm Jeff Hoffman, who you just heard the voice of. It ain't that.